This year I turned 25, and in this video I'm to share with you 25 films that changed my life and impacted me growing up. Now they need not be the best films, the most critically acclaimed. Some are not even films I really like. Some you may not even have heard of. But in some way or form they stayed with me in my subconscious, or over time they grew on me. I see them differently, I remember them differently. Now this video is inspired from one of the YouTubers I really admire, Dan Murrell, who made a list of 40 movies that impacted him because he turned 40. So a shout out to him. Now I've said this many times on my channel that I'm not someone who grew up watching movies. It wasn't a thing in my family, and most of the cinema that I have discovered is in my later years, particularly the last 5 to 6 years. Now this was really hard for me to make this big list because I am very bad with memory, and to just come up with 25 films like that, not possible. So having a log of whatever you have seen till now really comes handy, and that's where Nokio comes in. Can you name every film you have seen till date? I'm sure most people cannot, and that's where a platform like Nokio can help, where you can keep track of everything you have seen. You can rate those films, review them, and recommend films to your friends and family. So I just went on there, rated and review all my favorite films, or the films that really stand out to me, and then through that made a list of the 25 films. I've talked about the app before also, it's really helpful, and you can find out my ratings for all those films there. So if you haven't yet, get your app from the Play Store. I'll put the link in the description, and do recommend me your top films there. If I have not seen them, I'll add them to my watch list. So let's begin with the list. They are in the order of me watching them for the first time through the years. So let's start. The first is Rang De Basanti. Whatever I can recollect from my life, this is the only film after which I cried like a baby. I still remember the moment the film ended, I couldn't stop crying, and my parents had to console me. Because I was young and I had never seen our heroes die at the end. And I'm sure at that point, I actually didn't understand what the film was really about. We just followed these characters, we fell in love with them, and at the end, when they died, it hit you hard. But today I understand what it was really about, and that makes it more special. I really don't think today anyone can make such film, considering the political climate. The way the film blends the past and the present together, and to convey a message that is still relevant today. I would say it's more relevant now than before. It was something so unorthodox, so unconventional, that it makes the film stand out for you even today. I've realized so many stories I come up with, it may be a satire or a political drama, they are inspired from this. Hopefully one day I'll able to bring them to the world. The next is Tare Zameen Par. So Amir Khan began doing this for his multiple films, where he would release it in December around the Christmas time. And my birthday and my parents' anniversary came in January. So most of his films I have seen during those occasions in theatre, and Tare Zameen Par is one of them. As a child watching this film, you felt noticed, you felt heard. Even though I didn't have dyslexia, but there were so many things I could relate to. And even today, I've seen the film so many times, and it still sticks to me. It still hits you hard. The film is so wonderful, it is so well made, that even today, by the end, I have tears in my eyes. I feel most people from my generation have a thing for this film. The next one is again an Amir Khan film, Three Idiots. This was the film, when it ended, I didn't want it to end. I just wanted to sit in the theater and keep watching their life. That's it, for eternity. And this was the first time I felt this for any movie I'm watching. I still remember we had gone for a night show, and after the film, we went to Pizza Hut and we ordered a pizza called something Rancho. And that was the only reason we ordered it.
Life में कितनी भी बड़ी प्रॉब्लम हो ना, उसको बोलो कोई बात नहीं चाचू, सब ठीक ठाक है, ऑल इज वेल,
और उससे प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाएगी.
नहीं लेकिन उसको झेलने की हिम्मत आ जाती है.
Even today when I see this film, I realize how well the screen plays. There's no unnecessary moment. Every scene has a 3-act structure in it. I can actually say the film is flawless. And again, it was a film you could relate to. Maybe not for myself, but people around me had seen who were doing engineering, because that was the only thing they could do. And I think this film had a big influence on me on not doing, what everyone was doing. To do something different. To do what I really like. To follow my passion. And I will be always grateful to it. The next is A Wednesday. Oh my god. I've seen this movie so many times, and every damn time it is thrilling. It's not the movie that becomes boring because you know the end twist. No, not at all. It just makes it more thrilling, because even after multiple watches, you still cannot believe the outcome. And the more I've seen, I've realized that how raw and rustic it was. The film has a lot of nuances and subtext. And the best part is, it doesn't shy away from showing it all. And the cherry on the cake were the performances. Everyone just nailed it. Nasruddin Shah, Anupam Kher, Jimmy Shergill. Just talking about it, I feel like watching the film again. The next one is New York, a film that scarred me for life. Now, if you don't know, the film is based on the 9/11 attacks. It follows a journey of three friends in New York where they are studying and what happens to them because they are Muslims after 9/11. And you would not believe the cast of this film. In the lead, we have Neelitin Mukesh, John Abraham, Katrina Kaif, we have Irfan Khan and Nawazuddin Siddiqui. I still cannot believe that me and my sister pleaded to my parents to take us to watch this film in theater. I don't know why. I don't know, like why were we thinking that? Because I was very young, and when we went for the film, the first half was not that bad. I mean bad by not graphic and violent. It just has one scene of Nawazuddin talking about what he went through in the prison, the torture he faced, just talking about it. And at the interval, we get a big twist, and the second half begins with how John Abraham was tortured just because he was a Muslim. And those sequences, and that too watching it on the big screen, oh my god, I couldn't take it. I still remember I couldn't sleep for 3-4 days because the moment I used to close my eyes, all those things used to flash in front of my eyes. I know it was not just a torture, but knowing that so many people suffered this in reality and they still do, that was something that was haunting me. And I think that's a big reason I don't like watching such films. I haven't watched any film based on 1984 riots. I didn't watch Kashmir Files, and definitely over time I have become somewhat insensitive to these things. I've watched movies which had a lot of graphic violence, but usually they are very small part of the film and I'm not aware about that's what I'm gonna watch in the film. But if a film is just about those things, I myself will not pick to watch that, especially it's based on true life and very recent. Now, the next one is very contrasting and I'm not sure if you even have heard about it. It's called Delhi Safari. It's an animated film. Now, it's not the best animated film ever. Even at the time of its release, that was not the appealing thing about it. And if I remember correctly, I think I watched this on Hungama TV. But the question is, why did this film make to the list? The film was about wildlife preservation. We see how humans are encroaching the forest, how the wild animals are suffering. And through that, we see a group of animals coming together to go to Delhi to tell the parliament that what are they facing. How they do that? Because they have a parrot who can talk with humans. That's the whole idea. So they go on this journey. And that's a superb idea for a kid's animation movie, you know. We travel to different states, you know, exploring the culture and the nature. But the film was hard hitting too. I still remember one sequence where they come across a tiger which is acting like a dog so that people don't kill it. And as a kid watching that hit me hard. And then even the climax, you know, it was very different, very unique. The animals end up in Delhi in the middle of the road, covered by traffic, everyone standing there taking their pictures. The media is there, everyone is wondering how did these animals, you know, show up here. And all the animals are telling the parrot, you know, start talking, tell them why we are here. But the parrot starts singing anything, he's just singing randomly. And people watching it, you know, they are laughing, they are enjoying, they are cheering, they're finding it funny. And the animals are clueless, like what is the parrot doing? And then the parrot stops and then he says, if I had just said, you know, we are animals, we are suffering, save us, no one would have listened to us. But because I started singing, making you laugh, entertain you, your attention was on me. And that, my god, that hit me so hard that I still remember that scene. And I think that's why I love whenever a film subverts my expectations. You know, this happened in a kid's movie and I don't think many people even talk about this. The next one is Udaan from my favorite director Vikramaditya Motwani. It's one of my favorite coming of age story. It's beautifully made, it's so poetic. I still listen to all of its songs. And there was actually an Insta post talking about how there's so many similarities with this film and Superman's story and Superman's journey. It really connected with me. The next one is another animated film, Wall-E. I think whenever someone says dystopian future, this is the film that comes to my mind. Now, as an animator, we studied this film so much because the animation is just outstanding. You know, the small details you notice that made the audience fall in love with these, you know, robots and go on a journey with them. And over that, it talks about so much more. Environment preservation, how we humans are getting so much into technology and getting lost. This film came out in 2009 and what they predicted is really happening today. That says it all. My favorite character is Superman and the next film is Man of Steel. This was a very, very different take on Superman. It was basically a coming of age for him, from not knowing what to do, where does he stand in this world, to finding himself in the process. Now, I do believe the last 30 minutes of nonsensical CG fight scenes really harmed the film, but the whole movie before that is just so brilliant. And through the film, we also see how the human society is so brittle, how they are so unwilling to accept that an outsider was living among themselves. For a lot of people, Henry Cavill will be their Superman. The next one is The Dark Knight, my favorite Christopher Nolan film, one of my favorite films of all time, which happens to be a superhero film and a comic book film. But even without that, it's a best film. This movie was just something I love, which is moral ambiguity. Just imagine the climax of a superhero film is about people deciding if they want to be good or bad. Because the antagonist is Joker, the agent of chaos. He doesn't believe in the society. He doesn't believe in people. They think the order in the society is a facade. The moment you let the people loose, they will choose chaos. I love how the film tackles good and bad through Batman. How the film tackles corruption. And at the end, the antagonist wins. But Batman cannot let that happen, so he takes all the blame to himself. That was just mind-blowing. Like, that's the sacrifice a hero is willing to make to bring back the order.
You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
And of course, Heath Ledger's Joker, the best villain performance of the lifetime. The next one is my favorite road trip movie, Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. It's a film you can watch as many times you want and nothing will change. You'll still enjoy it. And I think the screenplay is just perfect. The way it takes, three people, three fears they have, and the baggage they all are carrying, and how it intermixes it all. It's just wonderful.
जीना कोई तुमसे सीखे मेरी जिंदगी तो जैसे एक बंद डिब्बे के अंदर कट रही है
इंसान को डिब्बे में सिर्फ तब होना चाहिए जब वो मर चुका हो
Now, some people do say that it's a rich people's movie, but I cannot disagree with them more. Now, the next one is my favorite Marvel film, Captain America Civil War or Avengers 2.5. Now, Marvel has been a big influence on me growing up till date, even when they're not doing that good. And there are a lot of films that I like, but I wanted to just choose one, which is this one. I think this was a perfect blend of good writing and the superheroics. The way the film pitches the two heroes against each other, the villain of the film, how he achieves his goal, everything. The superhero drama, the fights, the battles. We got Spider-Man and Black Panther into the mix. It just got everything right. And over that, the film talked about the consequences of superheroes. I love Vision's line.
Our very strength invites challenge. Challenge incites conflict. Conflict breeds catastrophe.
If there'll be superheroes, supervillains will also come. I think this superhero film had the strongest drama till date, which was a great setup for the big bad Thanos to come. The next one, a big influence on me was the Bahubali franchise. Now I know these are two films, particularly Bahubali 2. I still remember going for Bahubali 2. The movie starts with the 3D visuals of movements from the first film. And at that moment itself, I was blown away. I was lost. I was immersed into the cinema of Rajamouli. That experience made me realize how important it is to watch a film in theater. Before that, even I thought, oh, it's okay, I can watch the film anywhere. But no, watching something in theater, nothing can beat that experience. This was the film that started my journey into South Indian cinema. Me starting my YouTube channel. This film has given me so much. And not just for me, the film is a benchmark in Indian cinema. It has given so many people the right to dream, the right to imagine. The next one is one of my favorite Pixar films, Inside Out. The animation, the story, everything is amazing. But just the concept of how emotions really work in us. Psychology teachers ask their students to watch this film because they learn a lot. And over that, I connect with this film so much. Because at the end of the day, the film is about a girl who's moving to a new town, a new place where she feels alone. And I really relate and connect to that. Because I made a big jump coming from Delhi to Goa to live here. And it was a big culture shock for me. So, I totally understand what the character is going through in this film. The next one is one of my favorite thrillers from Martin Scorsese, The Shutter Island. This film just blew me away. Because, this film does something I've never seen ever happen in cinema. That the film reveals you the truth, reveals it to the characters. But with the character, even the audience is unwilling to accept the truth. Even after knowing the truth, we are still second guessing. And that's the genius of Martin Scorsese. This film opened my eyes that even this can happen. And when you get to the end of the film, suddenly you start connecting the dots. And again it hits you. Oh my God, how could I miss all of it? The film has not just played with the characters, but the audience itself. The next one is the romantic film 96, starring Vijay Sethupathi and Trisha. Oh my God, I was in love with these characters. The actors did such a great job. And it was a love story that ends with a sacrifice. But the love story felt so relatable, so realistic, so grounded. It was just so understated. And the ending hits you so hard. It is one of the best romantic films in India. The next one is 12 Angry Men, the classic. I'm a big fan of courtroom dramas, and this is not exactly a courtroom drama, but a one-room drama where 12 men have to decide on the verdict if a guy is innocent or not. And it's purely a screenplay genius. How to write dialogue, how to make characters interact with each other for such a long time, where they are just talking about one thing in one single room, and how through that you bring out biases people have against each other. If you haven't seen, it's a must watch. The next one is Imayu from the genius Lijo Jose Pellicer. I always say it's one of my favorite Malayalam Malayalam films, and I just connect to this film on a different level because the film is of a different level. And there have been multiple films about this topic. The title means rest in peace. It's about someone who has died and what follows after that. But the way this film is treated, the places this film goes, the nuances it shows, the controlled chaos it creates, through which you see so much about the human society, it's just incredible. It is a film that's always playing in my head. Because of this film, I notice so many things when I am around a funeral, and from that I just realize how accurate this film is. The next one is Jojo Rabbit. I love satires, one of my favorite genres, and this is for me one of the best in the world. First of all, it tells a story from a kid's perspective in a Nazi Germany where he supports Hitler. And that's the best way to set up a satire, to tell it through someone who believes in the wrong, and how slowly they realize that they are actually wrong. They are not doing the right thing. And the film is so relevant, it can be applied to any place and you can learn so many things from it. It is heartbreaking, it is funny at moments, it is sad as well as it gets wholesome. It's a mix of everything. The next film is my favorite romantic film, Her, starring Joaquin Phoenix. This film, when I saw, it made me realize what love really is. The way it breaks down the most complex human emotion through a human falling in love with the AI. And that reveals so much about us, how we look at life. It just hits you at a deeper level. The next one is the Oscar-winning film, Parasite. Now, I'll be honest, when I first watched this film, I was like, yeah, it was fine, but I don't see the whole buzz people have around it. But then I saw a lot of video essays talking about this film, and then I realized how I couldn't see the beauty of it. I think this is one of the best films talking about class difference, the way it breaks it down, the nuances, the subtext, and then the outstanding filmmaking behind it. There are so many things you just miss through your naked eye, and that's exactly what happens around us, how we are unable to see the class difference. The next one is The Perks of Being a Wallflower. One of my favorite teen films, again hits me very deep, and it has one of my favorite dialogues.
We accept the love we think we deserve.
Can we make them know that they deserve more?
We can try.
In some way, the film is not that relatable because it's set in US, but still you feel for the characters. The next one is The Great Indian Kitchen, a film that everyone on the planet should watch. It hit me so hard, not just because of what it's talking about, but the outstanding filmmaking. It's a film I want to watch every year. I've tried doing that. There's so much to learn from this. The casual sexism happening around us that we don't even notice. The gender inequality we don't want to see because we want to enjoy that privilege. The next one is actually a trilogy, but I have, put them together. The Put trilogy by Satyajit Ray. I saw it very late in life, but I'm just happy that I did because it's just outstanding. I actually made a video about how it's difficult to watch old films. Technically, they are not that great, they have not aged well, this and that. But this trilogy just proved me wrong. These films were made in 1950s, and technically they're at par with today's films. And that tells you what good filmmaking is. That tells you why Satyajit Ray was a genius filmmaker. The way he captures his characters, the setting, it's like you are transported to this world. It's like you have time traveled because you learn so much. All three films are a must watch if you haven't. And the 25th film is Into the Wild. This film, I never thought while watching it that it will hit me so hard. It's actually the last 30 minutes that just drilled a hole into me. And it's actually the last frame of the film because I didn't know it's based on a true story. And when I learned that, it just threw me off. Like for days I couldn't stop thinking about this. The journey this film takes you on. It's a journey, a lot of us, wish we could go on. But the message at the end that we learn, that you feel happiness only when it's shared. It is an existential film. It is all about, all these random thoughts you have in your mind. This film is actually a substitute that if you cannot go on an adventure like this, you can actually watch this film and learn a lot. So guys, those were the 25 films that really impacted me growing up. Now I tried not to include the recent films, which includes a Triple R, a Sardar Uddham, a Kadasi Vyavasai. But maybe when I make a list when I turn 30 or 40, they may make it. Now if you want to know my top films from last year, you can check out this video next. Do let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Definitely check out Nokia. Thanks for them to sponsoring this video. You can recommend me your top films there. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button and I'll see you next time.